All right. Welcome back, Sculldog Radio. Only the second episode ever, so thanks for joining me. Hopefully you enjoyed the first one. I'm your host, Sculldog. Let's get right to it. All right, the Blackhawks. Got to start with my Hawks. Hopefully everybody watched the game last night because, wow, it was a good one. That's probably why I'm tired today. Let's start off in the first period. Hawks were very flat. Not a whole lot going on. Crawford only let up one goal. You got to give him props for that. It was kind of a soft goal, I'm not going to lie, but the fact that they came out of there down 0-1 when the Wild just flat out outplayed them. Anybody who watched the game had to have been just as nervous as me. Critical game, 2-2. They lose that game last night. We're talking down 2-3 going to Minnesota. That was an absolute critical game. Hawks, once again, with the refuse-to-lose mentality, gets a goal from Bickle and then Tays. Win it 2-1. Amazing game. All year long, they've just had that refuse-to-lose attitude. Once again, coming alive when they need it, they win 2-1. I'm starting to think they're going to win the series. Like I said, going back to Minnesota tomorrow night. Again, another late 8 o'clock start. Pray that they win that game. I do not want to see them Game 7 in Chicago. However, I realize whenever we're at home, we win. So I'm not really worried. I think we will win the series one way or another, but we could use the rest, A, and then B, I'm tired of being so nervous and tired the next day. So yeah, I would like to see them wrap it up tomorrow night. Okay, so that's the Blackhawks. Let's move on to the NFL Draft. The NFL Draft was over the weekend. I actually watched the entire first round. I caught some of the second round. It gets a little old. It's a little lengthy. I mean, people that maybe are a little crazy watch the entire draft. I haven't really got that crazy yet, so I only watched the first round, a little bit of the second. But let me go over the picks that the Bears got. The Bears overall, I think it was a very good draft. Even Mel Kiper, who's hasn't been real fond of the Bears' past drafts, mentioned that he thought they did a nice job of filling all the needs that were necessary. They went majority defense in the beginning of the draft and then kind of picked some offensive players toward the end, which was smart because they needed some key defensive players, especially after last season. So let's just run it down. So with the first pick, they picked a guy, Kyle Fuller. He's a quarterback. He was out of Virginia Tech, the 14th overall pick. He was voted best dressed at the draft, so that has to mean something. Great player. He'll probably start from day one. You know, with their cornerback situation, their safety situation, he should start from day one. He should play a key role in their defense right away. The number 2 pick, Ego Ferguson. Now, this is a guy who was a bit of a surprise. He was picked number 51 overall. He's a defensive tackle out of LSU. Not a lot of people were expecting this guy to go this high. But if everybody remembers, we picked Kyle Long in the first round last year. Similar scenario. They're trying to get sort of a steal of the draft, if you will. A guy that weren't on a lot of draft boards that could be a potential immediate impact player. So that's what I'm hoping with this guy. Now with the third pick, we picked a guy named Will Sutton. This guy was from Arizona State, also a defensive tackle. Now this was very smart. They picked the second and third round picks, both defensive tackles, hoping that at least one of them will succeed, if not both. We needed a defensive tackle desperately. Hopefully we got 2 of them. This guy, he was the 81st pick. We'll see. I think one of these 2 guys will work out. I'm pretty confident. Hopefully both of them do. All right, so after that, we went to an intriguing pick. Kadeem Carey. He's a running back out of Arizona, the 117th pick. Now, he does have some off-field problems. He did assault his pregnant girlfriend. That could be a little bit of an issue. Hopefully he's just immature and he learned from that. He will never do that again, hopefully. Because this guy has amazing talent. He rushed for 4,239 yards with 48 touchdowns in only 3 seasons. So you can't question his on-field performance. Let's just not hope he's another Lawrence Phillips. Okay, let's move on. The next pick we traded up for in the 4th round to get a guy named Brock Vereen. I hope I'm saying that right, because this guy could be the best valued pick on the Bears. That's what the analysts are saying. He is a safety out of Minnesota, and we need safeties desperately. If everybody remembers Chris Conte last season, specifically against the Packers, you know what I'm talking about. All right, the next pick was David Fales, quarterback from San Jose State, the 183rd pick. Now this guy, we don't know what we have. We won't. But with the injuries of Jay Cutler in the past, you got to have a backup. Everybody knows we lost our backup to free agency this season. We had to fill it. We didn't want to take a guy real early on to fill it, so we took this guy. Good pick. We'll see how it turns out, but we definitely need to have a backup. All right, our next pick was also another 6th rounder. It's a punter out of Miami. His name is Pat O'Donnell. You know, he's a punter. I don't really want to go into details. The next pick was the 7th round, 246 overall, offensive tackle from Boise State, Charles Leno. Now, we know we could always use offensive tackles. Can never get enough of them. We did have a great offensive line last season, but previous to that, we had a terrible offensive line for 5-6 years straight. So I like the pick. Overall, I would say I would give it a grade B. I think we've addressed all our needs. We didn't get a splashy player. We didn't go after Johnny Football. We didn't necessarily try to find a player that's going to, put fans in the seats necessarily. But we already have that. I mean, we already have an offense that should be amazing next season. We needed defense. We went out and got some really great defensive players. So I give it a B. I'm very satisfied with the draft. Okay, with that said, I can't go a show without talking about my Cubs. So let's talk about the good. Chris Bryant is on fire. All right, first of all, I've always been in his corner. I mean, let's face it, his name's Chris with a K. That's me, Chris with a K. So I've always been fond of him, but he was Player of the Week once again. He's in AA. He's with the Tennessee Smokies. He's got 10 home runs. He's hitting .330. I have a feeling he's going to be in AAA within a month or so. And there's rumors already swirling that he may end up skipping AAA and going straight to the Cubs. Wouldn't that be something? Now, here's a guy who plays third base. We have Mike Olt at third currently. And actually, Mike Olt is starting to come alive. I know his batting average is below 200. He actually just hit another home run today. He now has 8. He's hit 4 home runs, I believe, in 5 days. So he's really finding his power groove. And we really need that. We need a guy who's going to supply 30 home runs, specifically at third base. So with that said, if Mike Olt were to work out at third, we could put Chris Bryant in either left field or right field. Currently, we have Junior Lake in left field. He's, off and on, not consistent enough. I would like to see this kid, Chris Bryant, in the outfield this season. And to be honest with you, I'd like to see him in July. I don't want to wait until September call-ups. I think this kid has proven everything he needs to prove in the minors. Stick him in AAA now. I'd put him in AAA starting Monday. See how he does. If he continues to rip up the minors, bring him up. There is no reason to keep him in the minors. He's played in college. He's had his seasoning. He's been successful at every front. In every league he's been in, he's been successful. There's no reason to keep him in the minors. All right, now on the downside. My main man, Javier Baez, who everybody was so high on, especially out of spring training. He was ripping the cover off the ball, just playing amazing. He's not doing so well. Right now, he's hitting about a 160. He has 3 home runs. He's been hurt. He's just not doing it. I don't see him coming in the majors earliest till September, unless he were to catch fire immediately. I think he still has a lot of seasoning to go. He's still not being patient enough. He's swinging at too many bad pitches. I think you're going to see Chris Bryant in the majors before Javier Baez. Now, I'm not saying that you won't see Baez. I really think you will see him in September, and he will figure things out. I'm just saying it's taking a little longer than what we hoped. With that being said, the Cubs still have a very strong farm system. We have a Major League draft coming up, which I'm super excited about. It's in June. It's very pitcher, top-heavy pitching, which is what we need. We need to get a really good, strong pitcher in this year's draft. And with the 4th pick, we're going to have a real strong opportunity to get an elite pitcher. So I think with the guys we already have, the Chris Bryants, the Javier Baez, the Albert Almaras, if you throw in another elite pitcher, we could really have some buzz going. And like I said, Chris Bryant, he'll be in the majors before you know it. All right, that's enough about the Cubs. Let's move on. Now, today at work, I was kind of going over some topics. I wasn't sure what to talk about. And I had a friend of mine who was like, well, why don't you talk about your serving experience? And he sort of entertained me with some of your stories. So I figured I would do that. I'd like the show not to be just sports. I'd like it to be more reality as well. So I would like to talk about my serving experience. Now, I am a father of 2. I have obligations. I have a regular full-time job, and serving seemed to be a way to earn extra cash. So I had a friend who was a manager in the serving business who kind of talked me into working as a server. It seemed very easy. What is there to do? You take an order, you go in the back, you bring it out. Pretty easy. Well, I realize it's far from. Now, I worked in the chain industry. I have worked for Olive Garden. I've worked for Longhorn. I've worked for the chain restaurants. And I can tell you, it's not as easy as it looks. I'm going to touch on more Olive Garden than my other experiences because that was the most difficult. And I think that people do not realize what all goes into serving. And I would like to explain it. My personal view is anyone who wants to go out to eat should be a server at one time. That way they realize what all goes into it and why you should tip. Okay, first of all, don't automatically assume that if your food is screwed up in any way, the order, if you're not getting the correct dressing or it's not cooked properly or it's not tasting right, you cannot blame this on the server because the server is not responsible for how the cooks are cooking the food or how the food runners are bringing out the food. And let me elaborate. Food runners at chain restaurants means when you're taking an order, you're not necessarily bringing out the food. I know it seems crazy, but that's the way it works. Whoever's in the kitchen as the food is ready is running out the food. So you as a server are not only taking orders, trying to get drinks and so on, you're also running food. So, for example, at Olive Garden, it's very difficult because as we know, it's unlimited everything. You have unlimited salad, soup, bread, drink refills. So it's very difficult to stay up on all those, especially when you're getting, say, triple sat, meaning 3 tables at once on a busy Saturday night, and you're fully expected to fulfill all those obligations. It's almost impossible. For me, it was impossible. So not only are you trying to run food and take orders and so on and so forth, it's totally based on performance. So your pay is completely based on performance, in some cases totally out of your control. So I would say, please keep this in mind when you're going to tip. The server can only do so much. On a Saturday night when you go out to the restaurants and you see it's packed, don't expect service as though you were at a 5-star restaurant, because it's just not the case. It's Olive Garden. It's unlimited everything. The expectation should not be that high. So I also wanted to elaborate in pay. Servers make $4.95 an hour plus tips. That's it. They are totally based on your tips. If you do not tip them well, they have a terrible night. They cannot rely on $4.95 an hour. I've witnessed single mothers in these restaurants just giving their all, trying their best, and something goes wrong, and there's a trickle effect where if they bring out the wrong soup, it plays in their mind. Now they're screwing up another table. Now they're walking home with, say, $30 or $40, and they've worked a 6-hour shift. They're literally in tears at the end of the night. I just feel awful for them. I want everyone to know this is the reality of serving. This is the reality of the restaurant business. When you go out, please keep this in mind. Tip, I understand if they're giving you attitude and they're not doing a good job, I understand. But please keep this in mind that they're trying their best. They deserve more than the $4.95 an hour and 10% tip. Especially if you're having soup and salad at Olive Garden and the bill is $10. Don't tip 20% on $10 and give them $2 tip. Base it off performance. Base it off how many refills you had. Throw them a $5. I mean, it means a lot to them. It's not a lot of money, but it means a lot. It adds up. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that. Another thing, I'm just trying to experiment right now. I'm going to cut it from 30 minutes originally. I'm going to do 20 minutes. I don't want to bore people. I want to keep this exciting. I'm having a lot of fun here. I would really appreciate any comments. Also, like I said, I'm trying to figure out a theme song. Right now, I'm thinking Guns N' Roses' Welcome to the Jungle, but I'm certainly open for suggestions. All right, that's all I have for tonight. Thanks for watching. See you soon.